I'm reading from the book of Amos, uh, chapter 9, verse 11. And I'll read from the Hebrew. This is an amazing prophecy about the building up of the tabernacle of David. So I'll be reading verse 11 in Hebrew and then talking briefly about the grammar. So verse 11 reads, Bayom hahu akim et sukat David hanofelet, the gardarti et pirtsehin, v'harisotav akim, uvenitiha kime olam. And we would translate it, in that day I will raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and I will close up its breaches, and I will raise up its ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. This is a future prophecy of the final message of hope that the Lord is giving the people through the prophet Amos. So, what I'd like to do is look at the grammar briefly here and then make New Testament application. So, first of all, vocabulary. We have be, which is the preposition in, yom, day, ha is the definite article, who is the demonstrative pronoun or the demonstrative adjective here, that, cum, it's a verb, it means to raise up. Et is the sign of the direct object, and sukkah is a noun that means booth. David is the proper name for David. Nafal is the verb to fall. Ve is and. Gadar means to repair. And then we have the noun breach that occurs also in this verse. Notice pirtsehin is the word for breach, and pirtse puts that noun in plural. And so basically following that, we have ve, and then akim is from the root kum, meaning to arise or to raise up. Bana means to build, and be means preposition in, and ke, not be, ke is the preposition as, yom means day, and olam means old. So let me just go through the grammar basically, and then we'll translate it again and make New Testament application. First of all, bayom hahu, in that day. Notice be is the conjunction meaning in, and ha is the definite article. So in the day or that day, yom is the noun masculine singular meaning day. And then we have who, which is the demonstrative pronoun meaning that. So we would translate this in that day. And then akim. Akim is from the root kum. And notice it means to raise up. And here we have a hiphil imperfect first common singular from the root kum. So we render it, I will raise up in that day. Et sukkot David. At is the sign in Hebrew of the direct object, and the noun that follows, Sukkot, means booth. It's a feminine singular noun, and Sukkah becoming Sukkot, and it's the booth of David. And notice David is the proper noun, meaning David. So the tabernacle of David is now torn down in the book of Amos as he's writing. It's very fragile since the northern kingdom is to go into captivity into Assyria. So this looks at the house of David that is going to be built up after it has fallen, Amos is saying. And notice Hanophelet, that is the house of David, which is fallen. Ha is the definite article, and notice Nophelet is from Nafal. It means to fall. It is a cal active participle, feminine singular. And notice when we look at this that we have an O class vowel after the noon with two segols followed by a tav showing a feminine singular participle. So we would translate this as that which is fallen, referring back to the tabernacle of David, Sukkot David. Then we have Vadarti et Pirsehen, and I will repair its breaches. Notice the Gadarti, the is the vav, what we call consecutive. Gadarti is a cal perfect, first common singular from Gadar. That the T ending puts it into the first person. And notice that the here is the conjunction. We call it a vav conversive or a vav consecutive in that it's turning over the verb gadarti, which is perfect, but it's making it futuristic. So we would translate it, I will repair et pirsehen, that is, its breaches. Notice et is the sign of the direct object, and pirsehen means its breaches. It is a noun, masculine plural, pirse, and notice it's in construct with the feminine pronominal suffix meaning its in the hen. So I will restore its breaches, the harisotav, and its ruins. Notice vav is just the simple conjunction here, and harotsotav is the noun that means ruins. Notice it's a feminine plural in the ot ending, with a third masculine singular pronominal suffix meaning and its ruins. So its ruins, akim uvenitiha. Its ruins I will raise up, or I will cause to establish. Notice akim is a hifil, what we call a hifil imperfect, which is causative in Hebrew, first common singular from the root kum, to raise up. So I'm going to raise up its ruins, uvenitiha, and I will build it. Notice the root here is bana, to build, and historically, this is what we would call a lamed he verb, and it was originally a lamed yod verb, and that yod is reappearing here in uvenitiha, in that e, and so we would translate it again, and I will build up. I just wanted to point out a little bit about that historical Hebrew grammar development of banai becoming bana with the final hey. So I will build up its ruins as in the days of old. Kime olam. Notice the kaf here is a conjunction meaning as, and yeme is a noun masculine plural in construct meaning days. So as the days, and then we have olam. By the way, yom is the word for day, and yemim is the plural, and yemeh is the plural of what we call construct, where you have two nouns together, and that's what we have here in the days of old. And we put of between them when they're in construct that way. So olam is a noun masculine singular meaning eternal or old. So we would translate this phrase as in the days of old. So putting the verse together, in that day I will raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and I will close up its breaches and its ruins, and I will arise and I will build it as in the days of old. It is interesting to me that this text is referred to in the New Testament, and I believe it ultimately applies to what Christ has accomplished in his glorious resurrection. Notice the new tabernacle that is going to be established in the New Testament will include, or does include, Jew and Gentile who name Christ as Lord. And we see this especially in Acts 15, where it is applied to Gentiles and Jews who are now part of the church, the spiritual tabernacle of David, which is that permanent edifice that the Lord has now built through his death and resurrection. And it's interesting in Jerusalem, especially at the Jerusalem Council in Acts 15, Simon Peter stands up and quotes this text from Amos. And he does it as an illustration of the fact that Gentiles were prophesied way back here in the text to be included in this tabernacle of David, to be a part of God's final kingdom that he would establish. And he has now established through Jesus Christ. We see this in Acts 15, verses 14 and 17. And so as we go back, notice he talks about how he's going to close up the ruins, and all the nations, we're told in verse 12, upon whom my name is called, will be able to be a part of this. So Peter clearly applies this text to the New Testament church and to how Jew and Gentiles now are included in this new tabernacle of David that was fallen, that the Lord has built up in the body of Jesus Christ, the New Testament church, including both Jew and Gentiles who have their faith, Peter says, in the Lord Jesus Christ.